How are you doing? My name is Mr. Charles, and this is the Upbeat Academy online lessons. And today we're going to be discussing a couple of really cool things. We're going to be using the playlist mode to create and organize our tracks. Last lesson, we utilized the channel rack and put stuff into the different tracks to create our own patterns. What we're going to do today is utilize samples and loops, stretch them out to fit our BPM, and then create a track that way. So what I want to do today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the Upbeat Academy drum kit, and I'm going to go into my melody loops folder. And what we're going to do, we're going to be uploading a condensed version of this kit soon. It's going to have a couple of kicks, snares, and some hi-hats and loops so that you can follow along. It will include stuff that's in this video. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start by finding a melody that I like. Okay, let's use this. My BPM, I'm going to do something at 134. So let's drag this up to 134 right here in the BPM thing. I'm in song mode. So when you're starting out, typically it's going to open up, it's going to have channel rack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go from this pattern mode. I'm going to make sure that this is the playlist view is open and selected. I'm going to go under the side right here where you can see the patterns, and then this right here is the audio pick clipper, and then you have the automation clips. We're going to, so let's delete this, and okay, and then we're going to delete pattern number 1. Okay. So if you notice, I can't delete pattern number 1 because pattern number 1 is automatically going to be populated in the playlist, because what's going to happen is when we drop in our audio clips to use here and stretch them, it's going to be under the channel view. So what we're going to do is I'm going to select my sounds. All right, let's use something like this. I'm going to drop this in here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use our ears to find the loop. So I drop this in the picker and I can drag this in. So you see how it's at 7 bars? Ideally, we want something to be either 4 bars, so 1, 2, 3, where that 5 is the beginning of the 4th bar, or 8 bars, so starting at the 9 bar. So let's stretch this. If we double click on our sample, what we can do is we can go to this time selector, and it allows us to stretch it until it's at that right time for us. So I'm gonna put this at 9 bars because it was at 7 bars originally, and I don't want it to sound crazy slow or crazy fast. So, right? Versus the original, which, let's drag this in again, right? Great. Okay, so let's listen to this whole thing. One thing that might not be working for you is if you don't have song mode selected, it's going to play what's in your channel rack in the pattern. So I want to make sure you have song mode selected. We'll go from right there. Great. Right? Okay. Okay, wonderful. So now what I'm going to do from here is I want to make sure I'm going to actually change my pitch. So what I can do is I can stretch it. That's the original pitch. And I can change this pitch to change how it sounds. Okay. And that's wonderful, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep going through, and adjust myself a little bit in my chair. What we want to do is stop this. We can drag in other loops from here. So I'm gonna find some percussion, and we're gonna just build on our instrumental like that. So let's find something that has some interesting percussion. I want something that sounds unique, so let's see. We have percussion loops here, okay. Okay, that's interesting. So let's stretch this to 5 bars. And one thing we're gonna do too is, if you notice, there's a track 1, track 2, track 3. We're gonna assign this to the mixer track. So performance settings, let's do track mode, insert 1, and this is gonna be insert 2, and we're just gonna keep going down. So now I can go to the mixer, and I can turn it down, right? Look at that. So let's go back to this mixer mode here. All right. And we're not doing anything really complex here. Ideally, what we're trying to do is just make a really good loop that we can add some drums to, because then what we can do is go and go forward from our lesson that we learned before, where we have drums that we designed ourselves and layer on top of those. All right. So I'm gonna continue to go down here. And actually what we're gonna do is, this is where we're gonna have a little bit of fun. So I'm gonna go back into my upbeat folder, and I'm going to take on this side let's use the J-Rob kick. I like his kicks. So I'm gonna go. All right. We can drag in here, and if I put this at, all right, quick lesson. So we have this snap to grid, right? So we can change our grid view. So what I want to do is, I want my grid view to be at 1/4 of a beat, so I can just add in a little bit more. I'm gonna shorten these kicks a little bit, so. Let's put the metronome on. So what I'm doing right now is I'm drawing in the FL. I'm drawing on the playlist view with my drums, as opposed to designing them. I can make my own. I can make my own drum pattern. And now this is where you kind of use your ears. You can just scoot it forward a little bit. That's where a snare would go. So I'm gonna scoot this forward a lot. particularly, I find this easier than designing it using the channel rack personally, because this kind of allows you to have a visual representation of what you're drawing out, so you can just kind of see it. Allows you to, you know, gives you a little bit of a little bit more control, you know. All right, see, that was a little, I'm gonna scoot this forward just a tiny bit. All right, and then I'm just gonna loop that around. Look at that, all right? So I made a nice bar, I have a nice kick drum. Now, typically we would do the kick drum last, but sometimes it's okay to break rules. As my man Bob Ross used to say, happy accidents. It's okay to break rules, because music is about how you feel. And I felt like doing my kick drum first. So, gonna scoot this back. So what I'm doing right now is I'm using Command. I'm turning my pencil tool off. I'm using the selection tool up here, selecting everything. And then I'm grabbing it. I'm holding down Shift. And then Shift copies everything that you selected. There we go. And then as I'm going down, I'm changing the inserts. I'm going to track mode, audio insert track, audio track. I'm making this insert 3. So I'm gonna stick with these drums. All right, so now what we're gonna do is, to make our life easy, we're gonna change this to 1/2 of a beat. Put our metronome on. 2, 3, yep, look. Now watch this. We can actually turn this to 1 beat, because we know that the claps and the snares are always gonna come on that 3rd beat in a bar. And remember, once we get the 4 bars, all you have to do is just copy this, Shift, and then drag. So I'm gonna just copy. Let's drag this over here. Turn the metronome off, okay? All right, and then let's layer some claps on this. So let's go back in this trap folder, and drum kit, claps. All right, remember, insert, track mode, audio track, insert 4, because we want to be able to separate these as stems if we were sending this to a engineer. So now what we're doing is I'm just drawing these out. I want these to layer together, right? So we're layering it together right now. It's really easy, really simple. All right. Some percussion. And we're not making this too complex. Honestly, what my whole goal for this is to make a simple loop that loops around. It's 8 bars and it makes sense. So I'm gonna actually turn this to 4th beat. And then I want to add in some percussion. just gonna roll some of these. What I mean by that is just put them together, give them a little bit of, you know, little bit of spice. All right, just to give it a little bit of bounce to the percussion. And we just wanted to scoot some of these up. Let's keep this pretty simple. You know, we're only using the playlist view. And the reason that we're doing this is because sometimes it's harder to assemble something using that channel rack, but we want to have control over it, right? So we're doing this so that we can still have control, put something down that's a full idea, because then we can just extend it, loop it, duplicate it, and just take things out as we're going through our production, right? Because that's, at the end of the day, what we want to be able to do is to have control of our instrumental and make something that makes sense. All right, let's see if this MIDI works. We might be able to draw in some MIDI. All right, no MIDI for us. Let's see if this works here. All right, no. So let's delete this. Delete. Okay. All right, so for the hi-hats. Let's add a hi-hat to make this draw together. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change this to half of a beat, and I believe that if we zoom this in, let's do the thing, let's see. No, we need a little bit more. 1/3, 1/4. Yeah, so let's try this. All right, so if we're doing 1/8 of a hat, it's just 1/8 hats are 1/2 beat in FL Studio. So let's just draw something simple. Oh, almost forgot. Track mode, audio track, insert number 6. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm just going to take this paintbrush and I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to add in my own, on the next track I'm going to add in some spice, but we're just going to just paint it like this. And done. Okay, sound like something. All right, so how to add some quick spice. Let's put this at half of a step, and then we can zoom this in, and we're gonna take another hat, and we're gonna draw in some triplets. Let's make this actually 1/6 of a step, so it's, give it a little bit of space, so yeah, let's do it right there. Psst, right there. And all right, that's not fast enough. This part is a little bit more tedious. This is where we're going to talk about piano roll in the next lesson. Because typically what we want to do, let's take that out. I think that sounds ugly. We can add some more percussion loops to this to give it a little bit of bounce. I think that it would sound nice with let's see. All right. I want to use the trap and drill. Can't seem to find the loop that I'm looking for. That's okay. Typically what I would like to do here is add some more percussion in the background, just like to give it a little bit of flavor. Uh-oh, I think I drew one too many. There we go. All right, so here we go. This is my little background percussion that's gonna add some flavor to my beat. All right. Oh. So now I have a nice, this makes it gives it like this dancey element to it. I don't have a bass in it yet. So let's make sure we're adding to our tracks. Okay. I think this is a good stopping point. I don't bass, but let's see. Let's see if I can make a bass work. All right, here's an 808. Let's see if this 808 will be nice to me. Okay. It's a little off, but it still has a nice boom to it. All right, so let's finish there. All right, so what we did today is we used the playlist view. We only used audio clips, and then we just drew them in using the paint tool and the draw tool, and then selecting and stretching it out. The reason that we did it like this is because when you are beginning to produce and you're looking to make something that fulfills that need to create something that knocks, you don't want to get caught up in the sauce by trying to figure out, okay, which one of this is going to work for me, or if this is going to make sense. You want something that's going to be easy and accessible to you. In this view, you're able to see the sounds, you're able to stretch the sounds out very easily and make sure that it's on beat and on tempo. You can change the tempo and then stretch the sounds to that tempo. I chose a tempo of a popular, a lot of popular radio songs, and then created something that worked from there. All right? Well, my name is Mr. Charles, and this has been for Upbeat Academy. Stay upbeat.